we're appreciative as any city that you have full service restored. It gives us a sense of moving towards normalcy. And the more people can move around, whether it's in your own vehicles, especially through AMTRAK, it really helps the economy and tourism for us. So that's what it's all about. So, Mark?
Thanks, Mayor. My name's Mark, M-A-R-C, Magliari, the Chicago-based AMTRAK spokesman and three-time Springfield resident. Running 5 trains a day each way is important to the economies of all the cities up and down this route. AMTRAK runs our Lincoln service train, which is, of those round trips, 4 of those round trips are sponsored by the Illinois DOT. And IDOT and AMTRAK have been talking during all this time about when is the best time to restore service, what makes sense. In the worst of the pandemic, our ridership was down to about 5% of normal. Over time, and because we and the states who sponsor AMTRAK service and our service nationally, like the Texas Eagle that came through, we're about 60% of normal. So we're more than halfway back to restoring all the ridership. And by running all the frequencies, all 5 round trips to and from Springfield effective today, and all the round trips to and from Quincy, and all the round trips to and from Carbondale that are sponsored by Illinois DOT, we're going to get closer and closer to normal. And we couldn't be happier, and the timing couldn't be better. At IDOT's direction, we're restoring this service in time for the Illinois State Fair. We're restoring this service in time for the Du Quoin State Fair. We're restoring this service in time for all the colleges and universities up and down this route where students, faculty, and staff depend on us to get them back and forth to the college campuses, whether it's UIS or UIC, whether it's UIUC or Western. We're back, and we couldn't be happier, and it's thanks to the Illinois Department of Transportation that we have most of this service. And here's Scott Spiegel with IDOT.
Hi, yes, and I wanted to thank Mark and the mayor for the opportunity to be here today. We've worked very closely, as Mark said, with AMTRAK all along throughout this pandemic. It's obviously been very challenging for everyone, and AMTRAK and the state included. But we're very happy that this is now getting back to normal. We're getting our full schedule back, as Mark mentioned, not only on the Chicago to St. Louis Lincoln service, but the Chicago to Quincy and Chicago to Carbondale lines as well. Those are going from 1 round trip that we had been doing during the pandemic back to 2 round trips a day. We're really happy about that and very happy to be back in full service.
Mark, you said the timing couldn't be better, but the stock markets are tumbling at the sight of the Delta variant returning. I mean, how concerned are you about having to grind all this back down again?
We have no plans to do so. The state of Illinois received funding from Congress that's helping us do this under the American Rescue Plan and helping AMTRAK to do this under the American Rescue Plan. But to your point, the federal government and the state of Illinois are continuing to mandate the use of masks aboard our trains. If we were doing this media availability inside the station, masks would be required. So we're not back to normal when it comes to riding the train itself, but we're back to normal in offering the kind of regular service that people want.
The appropriateness of the train will really be nice, not only to expedite train traffic on the 10th Street corridor, also the quiet zone. That's an important factor that everybody will be looking forward to with regards to that. But on the tourism aspect, you know, it's we get a lot of visitors for the Lincoln sites. Of course, the Route 66, a lot of individuals drive, but we just wrapped up the Corn Ferry tournament, which people might be traveling by train or plane. So the more you have accessibility, the better off you'll be. But for myself, I'm a Cub fan. I've taken the train up to Chicago, so that's always a nice way to go there and enjoy the venue as you move along the track.
What you just saw happen is the magic of what won't happen once we move these trains. There's only a single track here, and that freight train going by is part of what's delaying one of our southbound trains from Chicago. So once we're over there, there'll be more capacity. There'll be more ways for more trains to go more places more often, and we should see fewer delays and a little quieter part of Springfield too, Mayor.
Right.
Here in the Midwest, we have 2 spokes that are already running at a higher speed than most other places in the country. Right now, in between Chicago and points in Michigan, we have a maximum speed of 110 miles an hour. Here in Illinois, thanks to great work by IDOT and their efforts to win federal grants, we're going to see more speed increases here on the Illinois side too. We're already running at a higher speed for a lot of this route, and once we get some more experience in how well the trains run, we'll start taking some time out of the schedule. Conventional service does very well. We run more than almost 900,000 people a year under sponsorship with IDOT and the Wisconsin DOT between Chicago and Milwaukee. Speed is helpful. Speed makes the trains themselves more productive. They cover more ground. It makes our employees more productive. They get more places in the course of an hour. But what makes a difference is running enough trains. 5 trains a day through Springfield and Bloomington Normal means there's many more opportunities for you to ride. If we were running even more trains, and there's longer term plans to run even more trains, it's more likely your schedule will fit the train. And by back to normal schedule with 5 round trips, it's now much more likely that people going to a Cubs and Cardinals game, who sometimes go one way happy and the other way not, will have more opportunities to do so.
Well, of course, you always want the stops, and logistically, we haven't worked out that part of the schedule yet. Again, the double tracking, it's the intent to move everything over by 2025, and we'll probably broach that. But of course, you'd want them to stop in the capital city. But the whole intent of the the faster AMTRAK, or faster service for passenger rail, was with regards to reduce the time it took to go from Chicago to St. Louis. And so that was the ultimate goal. But in reality, what it really moved it was the freight. Moving freight through the Midwest and other destinations is becoming more vitally important, and that's the importance of the double tracking. It's more from the economic standpoint of moving freight that really gave us, I believe, the funding to move in that direction. Well, we have multiple reasons. Of course, Abe's number one, but Route 66, we're going to enjoy our 100th anniversary coming up in 2026. The Corn Prairie tournament, golf tournament, that was a great tournament we just wrapped up. But really, we're changing in downtown, especially in the rail. That partnership will really help with really bringing additional resources, not only for moving the trains, but also when the 3rd Street corridor is vacated, turning that into a walkable, bikeable, pedestrian corridor of Springfield. But it will change the face of downtown as well as the medical district, and moving in that direction.
The governor's Rebuild Illinois package capital package of a couple years ago obviously is a huge investment in infrastructure across Illinois. Both highways, rail, a number of rail projects were funded or are getting funding through that, and it's a great investment, and I think we're one of the leaders, obviously. And it also puts us in a position, if the federal infrastructure packages are passed, it puts us in a great position, because we've already shown the commitment to improving our infrastructure that may get us more money in terms of competitive grants from federal dollars.
I think part of that was because of the governor's actions backed by the legislature. They put an capital infrastructure plan in place that not only funded the rail consolidation of about $125 million, but also with road pre-pandemic. Nobody knew what was going to happen.
Right.
So for cities, the motor fuel tax was really important with regard to that, because that helps cities, municipalities throughout the state continue their road projects even with the downturn of the pandemic. And that's really probably put us in that position,
right,
with the additional resources of ARPA funds, as well as the federal government's hopefully support of an infrastructure bill.
And we're not done making this service better. As you heard, we're already running at some higher speeds, and later this year we'll be taking some time out of the schedule to tighten the schedule a bit to account for the higher speeds. If you were here when one of our state-sponsored trains comes through, you'd see locomotives that are only 3 years old, that are Tier 4 EPA compliant. Those are in service now. And later this year, all new rail cars will start debuting on our downstate routes, both here on the Lincoln service, the Illini and the Saluki over to Carbondale, and the Carl Sandburg and the Illinois Zephyr over to Quincy. So we're not done making this better. Shorter schedules and new rail cars are coming, and coming pretty soon.
And the rail cars are also purchased through the state of Illinois and the AMTRAK Midwest network, which includes Michigan, Wisconsin, and Missouri as well. But this corridor, the Chicago to St. Louis corridor, will be the first that sees the new cars when they go into revenue service. And that should be later this summer or early in the fall.
They'll look very different than the cars we're running now.
They'll look very different, obviously very new and clean, much cleaner. New improved Wi-Fi on the cars, much more ADA compliant, spaces for wheelchairs, but also wider aisles so wheelchairs and folks that need extra assistance can get through. Jacks at the USB jacks at every seat, power obviously also. Eventually we'll be having new business class cars also, as well as new cafe cars. Those are coming in the next few years.
And you saw how they had to put a yellow step box out when this train came through. These new trains will have self-deploying ramps, so we'll be able to get more people on the trains faster, and again, much more accessible. All of that coming later this year. So Mayor, we'll come back when our new cars are running here under Illinois' leadership and that view of the city of Springfield, and keep working on getting this service even better, so by 25, things will really be cooking over there. Colleges and universities in Illinois depend on AMTRAK service to market their product. If you're a parent of a college student and your choice is to send your son or daughter to a school where they don't need a car, where they can go back and forth, even carrying laundry back and forth. You didn't do that, did you?
Definitely did.
Oh, okay. Even carrying laundry back and forth. Students, faculty, and staff depend on our connections to downstate Illinois on AMTRAK trains, sponsored by IDOT and our national network. So sure, it's very important, and it gives each of those colleges and universities a competitive advantage over other schools where there isn't this much or even any AMTRAK service.
And our AMTRAK service hits a number of the major universities, University of Illinois State in Bloomington Normal, UIS here in Springfield, University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign, Southern Illinois in Carbondale, Western Illinois in Macomb. So we have train service to a wide variety across the state of universities.
And Edwardsville makes their connection through Alton, and Eastern makes their connection through Mattoon. So we're going to have all new stations on this route. We'll soon have all new rail cars. We have pretty new locomotives. Things keep getting better and better because of who you send to your city hall, who you send to that building over there, and who you send to Washington.